The air here holds the scent of distant rain upon ochre dust, a subtle mingling of dried cedar and warm earth. You can feel the gentle pulse of time through the thick, velvet darkness, a slow rhythm beneath your skin. Picture the faint shimmer of desert salts under an alien moon, the whisper of forgotten languages carried on a breath of cool, evening wind. Everything moves at the steady, undeniable pace of tide coming in, pulling you, gently, toward slumber. Chapter 1. The genesis of the passage, the Sparse dawn. Slowly, the deep rhythm of the ancient world begins to unfold, starting thousands of years before any named reckoning. We are tracing the path of human intention, a whisper materialized into the weight of footfalls and the roll of camel panniers. The Silk Road, in its truest, earliest form, was not a grand arterial highway, but rather a complex web of faint, barely trod paths, arteries of need and magnificent curiosity. It began as discrete interactions, highly localized exchanges driven by the scarcity or the luxury. Consider the nascent routes connecting the settled agricultural heartlands of the Mediterranean basin with the distant, formidable empires of East Asia. These were not journeys of conquest, but voyages of quiet necessity, guided by the unpredictable movement of seasonal pastures and the unchanging desire for the unique commodity. Imagine the precise moment, perhaps around the 2nd century BCE, when the necessity of connecting these disparate worlds solidified into something more tangible. The routes that would eventually form the backbone of this trade were already active, tentative lines scored across the formidable terrain. Early travelers were generally hardy nomadic groups, guides whose intimate knowledge of flash floods, reliable watering holes, and star patterns formed an invaluable, irreplaceable commodity itself. Their steady passage across the high plateau demonstrated a mastery over the immediate environment that few outsiders could ever comprehend. These pioneers navigated lands where the distance between point A and point B was often measured not in straight miles, but in days consumed by careful rationing, by the slow rise and fall of the desert's temperament, and by the constant, careful observation of the shifting sands. The initial weight of trade was focused on survival items mixed with exceptional rarity. Stone, ore, and slaves were traded in quantities necessary for the basic function of early imperial societies. But alongside these foundational exchanges, a transformative curiosity began to move eastward, destined to change the fabric of Western civilization forever: the silk. At first, the exquisite, luminous quality of the fabric was known only within the isolated imperial structures of China. It possessed a subtle, almost breathable weight, capable of capturing and reflecting the light in ways never before achieved by woven materials. This commodity, this delicate, miraculous thread, became the irresistible magnet pulling strangers and merchants across mountains and through desolate basins. It represented not merely a fabric, but an entire system, a confluence of knowledge, protected secrecy, and immense cultural power. The journey of the raw silk was never simple. It was a staggered, monumental effort, passed from hand to hand, emperor to merchant, each transfer adding layers of mythology, value, and mystique to its inherent worth. It speaks to the human capacity for profound desire, the desire to touch something so profoundly beautiful that its sheer worth justified the unbearable difficulty of the passage. Chapter 2. The Commodities and the Measure of Value, Silk and Spice. As the trade networks matured, the sheer variety of the commodities passing through the oases expanded exponentially, creating a rich, complex ecology of exchange. The early focus remained heavily dedicated to silk, but its presence soon became complemented by other goods of intense, desirable scarcity. Consider the spices, those potent, fragrant jewels harvested from the lush, humid corners of the Indian subcontinent. Pepper, cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg. These items were not simply ingredients for flavoring, but potent symbolic markers of wealth and distance. To the inhabitants of the Mediterranean, who possessed a magnificent access to glass-making techniques and skilled bronze casting, these exotic spices from the deep eastern reaches represented a powerful, transformative absence. Their vibrant, intoxicating aromas traveled hundreds, even thousands of miles, and their presence signaled opulence and profound global reach. The weight of cloves, measured by the handful in a dusty bazaar, sometimes exceeded the measurable weight of gold, precisely because of the staggering distance they had traversed and the countless risks they had endured simply to reach the merchant's scale. And so, we cannot speak of ancient trade without addressing the remarkable nature of glass itself. The Roman world, with its unparalleled artistry in colored, blown, and etched glass, found an ingenious, almost inverse commodity in the East, the sophisticated, highly refined silk. The westward journey of the magnificent silk was therefore intrinsically linked to the eastward movement of superior glasswork and highly skilled metallurgical knowledge. This reciprocal exchange created a constant, gentle pressure, urging expansion and refinement at every point along the route. One must appreciate the details of the weight and measure used by these ancient traders. Grain was sometimes settled not in weights of gold, but in measures of dried dates or heaps of lapis lazuli, a deep, vibrant blue stone drawn from the distant mines of modern Afghanistan. The measurement of value was therefore highly fluid, tied directly to the perceived difficulty of obtaining the item, the rarity of its color, or the labor required to transform it. Every commodity carried within the camel's burden, be it crystallized sugar from the Arabian Peninsula or intensely sought cinnabar pigment, was a testament to human ingenuity and the immense logistical difficulty of the journey itself. The spices, specifically, demanded an understanding of cultivation and preservation spanning climatic extremes. Nutmeg, originating on the small Banda Islands, needed complex, coordinated harvesting and careful dehumidification. Cinnamon, curling in fragrant quills, was treated with a ceremonial respect, implying that its possession was itself a status symbol, a quiet declaration of one's reach across the breadth of human civilization. These specific goods, bundled into crates and secured within saddlebags, were the measurable physical manifestation of the grand narrative of human connection. Chapter 3, Oasis Cities and the Rhythm of Life, Samarkand and Bukhara. As the journeys continued across the formidable, breathtaking expanses of Central Asia, the greatest milestones were not the mighty mountain passes or the unpredictable desert stretches, but the human settlements that formed around them. These were the oasis cities, metropolitan havens built on wells, on stability, and on the ceaseless, vibrant flow of humanity. Cities like Samarkand and Bukhara arose not primarily through agricultural prowess, but through the magnificent discipline of trade. Picture yourself standing within the vast, echoing concourses of Samarkand sometime during the Middle Centuries. The architecture itself speaks of mercantile excess, of accumulated wealth drawn from 1,000 miles of endeavor. The buildings, often constructed of baked brick and covered in intricate, colored tiles, glow with the stored heat of countless desert sunrises. The bazaars, these legendary marketplaces, are a symphony of overlapping scents and murmurs. There is the initial sharp, metallic tang of freshly processed copper against the sweet, grounding scent of exotic sandalwood incense, burning steadily in a niche corner. Life in these oasis centers developed a unique, sustained rhythm, dictated entirely by the rhythm of the caravans. The weeks would begin with the steady arrival, the muffled sounds of hundreds of camels dropping heavily onto the packed earth. These enormous beasts, laden with goods spanning every conceivable category, would be led into the sheltered kraals, their passage causing temporary upheavals, followed by moments of profound, concentrated stillness. The people thriving in these centers, the financiers, the translators, the skilled artisans, developed a culture of astonishing diplomatic neutrality. They were the nodes where goods were exchanged, yes, but more profoundly, they were places where language and belief were transferred. A merchant arriving from Persia, bearing fine woolen textiles, might trade those goods to a mathematician from India who, in turn, possessed specialized knowledge of astronomical calculation valuable to the astronomers from China. The true commodity flowing between the scholars was knowledge itself. The very structure of the society relied on the meticulous accounting of exchange. Merchants maintained complex records, sometimes etched onto dried palm leaves, detailing the exchange rate of silver dirhams for bolts of Indian cotton, or the agreed exchange value of a skilled Persian glassblower's time for raw silk from the distant east. This rigorous, daily economic activity sustained a sophisticated, almost academic understanding of global interconnectedness, even before the establishment of formalized global empires. The life was one of constant cross-cultural mediation, a gentle merging of disparate traditions under the constant, persuasive hum of profitable commerce. Chapter 4: Technology, Ideas, and the Transmission of Faith. The great significance of the Silk Road, when viewed through the slow, quiet lens of history, is not merely the exchange of palpable goods, but the seismic, slow-motion transfer of non-material concepts. The exchange of ideas, religious doctrines, mathematical principles, medical procedures, and crucially, advanced technologies had a far more enduring and profound impact than the spices or the silk itself. Consider the technology of papermaking. Its westward transmission from China was one of the most pivotal, transformative moments available to the human story. Paper, a relatively inexpensive and portable material, revolutionized the ability to record and distribute information. Before its diffusion, knowledge was often painstakingly inscribed on expensive, cumbersome materials like parchment, papyrus, or carved stone, limiting its availability to the highest echelons of power and scholarship. The ability to produce writable paper on a manageable, relatively low-cost scale fundamentally altered the speed and breadth of intellectual life. It allowed for the proliferation of texts, making scholarship less limited by the aristocracy and far more accessible to the ambitious student, the traveling scholar, or the ambitious merchant. Suddenly, systematic learning was achievable, not in grand library halls preserved by imperial patronage, but in quieter, more portable forms. In parallel with this technological transfer, the routes became pathways for spiritual belief. The gentle, flowing currents of Buddhism, Nestorian Christianity, Manichaeism, and later, Islam, all followed the tracks laid by the material traders. These faiths adapted and syncretized, weaving themselves into the vibrant tapestry of the oases, acquiring local characteristics as they traveled. The stories of Buddhist monks, accompanied by the scent of incense and the solemn weight of carved asterisk stupas and devotional texts, traveling alongside bales of raw silk, illustrate this perfect symbiosis. The merchants provided the infrastructure, the safety, the routes, the stability, and the spiritual travelers provided the transformative intellectual cargo. The journey was one of constant, patient adaptation. A faith crossing this vast wilderness did not simply drop its original doctrines. It reformed, absorbed local myths, and adapted its artistic representations to match the aesthetic sensibilities of Persia, India, and the Roman provinces. It was a remarkable act of gentle cultural absorption. Chapter 5. The Golden Age of Exchange, the Zenith of the Roots. Through the height of the Tang dynasty, the Sasanian Empire, and the subsequent Islamic Golden Age, the trade routes entered a breathtaking period of sustained, massive prosperity. This efflorescence represented a zenith in human global connectivity, bringing untold rivers of wealth and creativity through single, pivotal points on the map. The volume of goods moving exceeded almost any previous measure, sustaining large, cosmopolitan populations of traders, laborers, and specialized artisans. During this golden age, the material exchange became encyclopedic in its scope. From the amber of the Baltic Sea, polished and traded for exquisite jade sourced from deep within China, to the magnificent dyes of Tyrian purple, used to cloak the garments of potentate royalty. The sheer weight of accumulated resources passing through Samarkand at any given time was staggering, creating a sensory overload of goods stacked high in warehouses and along the dusty lanes. The caravanserai, the roadside inns that served as semi-permanent rest and trading posts, were crucibles of civilization. Within their thick, sun-baked walls, men from disparate tongues would gather. A Sogdian merchant detailing the precise weight-to-value ratio of cinnamon, negotiating with a Byzantine glassmaker about the structural integrity of blown crystal, while a Sanskrit scholar calmly discussed the implications of a freshly translated medical text. This incredible interchange was fundamentally predicated on mutual, if transactional, respect. The successful life on the road required a deep sense of shared risk and shared reward. The safety of the journey, the success of the final transaction, rested upon the agreed-upon word of equals, regardless of their originating empire or creed. The development of early banking practices, sophisticated credit systems, and standardized mercantile weights allowed for transactions of incredible complexity and monumental scale, elevating commerce into a structured, almost academic discipline. The routes acted as a giant, slow-turning mechanism of global civilization. They did not simply transport goods, they facilitated the gradual, measurable expansion of human understanding of its own interconnectedness. The deep, quiet hum of the successful transaction, the careful transfer of coinage, the exchange of specialized knowledge, was the background music to this great, sprawling, collective endeavor. It is a testament to human reliability and the enduring, almost irresistible force of beneficial exchange. Chapter 6. Encounters with the Fringe, the journey to extremes. The narratives of the Silk Road inevitably take us far from the comforting, established centers of power, venturing into geographical extremes, deserts that seem endless, mountain ranges that appear insurmountable, and coastlines that challenge all known cartography. The human endurance required for these peripheral stretches was often more defining than the goods being traded. Pause 2. The journeys across arid, desolate plateaus were fraught with peril, demanding not only physical stamina, but a profound, intuitive understanding of local ecology and human cooperation. The traders moving through these marginal zones were the ultimate adapters. They mastered desert survival, navigated mountain passes that defied logic, and negotiated with tribes whose customs were inscrutable to outsiders. On the other hand, the maritime routes presented their own formidable challenges. The massive carracks and junks navigated volatile seas, battling typhoons and the unpredictable whims of global currents. Here, the goods were different: spices, silks, and exotic timbers, but the spirit of the endeavor was the same: an unwavering commitment to bridging vast, seemingly insurmountable distances for the sake of exchange. These arduous passages fostered unique diasporic cultures. Along key watering holes and major caravan stops, cosmopolitan settlements formed. People mingled, Roman legionaries trading with Kushite merchants, Persian scribes consulting with Han Dynasty scholars. The shared experience of the journey created a rich, syncretic culture, where different linguistic nuances and artistic styles blended seamlessly into a cohesive, transnational identity. This blending was the true, enduring commodity of the routes. Pause. The sheer scale of this endeavor, the sustained, multi-generational commitment to trade, remains a profound testament to the enduring human desire for connection, for the acquisition of the foreign, and for the shared bounty brought by distance. Pause. The continuous exchange of goods and ideas acted as a slow, persistent force of globalization, long before the term even existed, weaving the disparate corners of the known world into a singular, interwoven economic and intellectual tapestry. Pause. When all is said and done, the most valuable commodity moved along these ancient veins of commerce was not the gold, the silk, or the spice. It was the durable, portable exchange of knowledge, the seed of one culture planted firmly within the fertile soil of another's imagination. And the air here holds the scent of distant rain upon ochre dust, a subtle mingling of dried cedar and warm earth. You can feel the gentle pulse of time through the thick, velvet darkness, a slow rhythm beneath your skin. Picture the faint shimmer of desert salts under an alien moon, the whisper of forgotten languages carried on a breath of cool, evening wind. Everything moves at the steady, undeniable pace of tide coming in, pulling you, gently, toward slumber. Chapter 1. The genesis of the passage, the sparse dawn, deepening the early interactions. Slowly, the deep rhythm of the ancient world begins to unfold, starting thousands of years before any named reckoning. We are tracing the path of human intention, a whisper materialized into the weight of footfalls and the roll of camel panniers. The Silk Road, in its truest, earliest form, was not a grand arterial highway, but rather a complex web of faint, barely trod paths, arteries of need and magnificent curiosity. It began as discrete interactions, highly localized exchanges driven by the scarcity or unique utility of a resource. The jade from Cotton, the cinnamon from the Malabar coast, the horses from the Fergana Valley. The initial trade routes were inherently risky, surviving not on the promise of wealth, but on the reliability of communal survival. Merchants were rarely the primary movers. They were often guided by groups of pastoralists, navigators, and specialized porters whose intimate knowledge of seasonal oases, hidden aquifers, and tribal migratory paths was their most valuable and least negotiable cargo. When people first encountered the distant, exotic goods from beyond, the material value was secondary to the symbolic. A bolt of silk was not merely cloth, it was a guarantor of celestial favor. A fragment of colored glass from the west spoke of mastery over foreign fire. The sturdy bronze mirror from the east hinted at a connection to forgotten technological prowess. These goods were cultural accelerants, carrying not just materials, but entire belief systems, artistic motifs, and political ambitions across vast, arid emptiness. Through the nascent routes traveled early nomadic trading groups, creating proto-infrastructure. They established seasonal markets that, over centuries, coalesced into the great city oases, Samarkand, Palmyra, Merv, which became the crucial global junctions, where the disparate streams of civilization finally met, exchanged, and irrevocably mixed. Chapter 2. The mechanics of exchange and trust. The sheer logistical challenge of moving goods across such diverse environments demanded the invention of increasingly sophisticated mechanisms of trust and risk mitigation. Early exchange was overwhelmingly based on barter, a cumbersome system that required not just equivalent value, but culturally acceptable equivalents. The salt of the Mediterranean for the copper of the Andes, the labor on the Yellow River for the gold of the Near East. The transition to standardized exchange was revolutionary. The gradual adoption of certain weights of precious metals, gold and silver, allowed traders to calculate risk with a degree of mathematical precision previously unimaginable far from settled river valleys. However, even as metallurgy and accountancy advanced, the most critical commodity remained intangible: trust ***. A merchant's reputation was their capital. To be known as a reliable broker, a keeper of oaths, and a fair arbiter of disputes was worth more than any standardized coin. The proliferation of specialized commercial laws, the contracts written in Persian, the ledgers kept in Greek, the seals applied with Babylonian precision, created a legal architecture that spanned empires. These laws didn't just govern commerce, they governed civilization, creating an interconnected legal web that allowed a merchant from Antioch to sue in Bactria and have their writ recognized months later, far from home. Chapter 3: Cultural hybridization on the move. The movement of goods was always inseparable from the movement of people, and the cultural transfer was the most unpredictable, yet perhaps the most profound, form of trade. The great arteries of the Silk Road became conduits for spiritual philosophies. Buddhism, which traveled from India across the harsh deserts into Central Asia, required the sustained mechanical support of the trade routes. The caravansaries provided rest, the wealth provided patronage, and the merchant was often the first catalyst in the establishment of a monk's safe haven. Similarly, Nestorian Christianity and Manichaeism found adherents traveling alongside the spice traders. In the urban centers, this spiritual mixing resulted in breathtaking cultural hybridization. Artistic styles borrowed elements from surrounding cultures. Greco-Roman sculptural techniques informed Buddhist iconography, Persian motifs adorned Chinese porcelain, and Egyptian astronomical knowledge influenced the mathematical calculations of Islamic scholars. The merchant, therefore, was not merely an economist. He was an unwitting cultural anthropologist, collecting and distributing blueprints for humanity's self-image. The exotic textile was always accompanied by the tales of the lands from which it came, transforming commerce into a profound, slow-motion act of global storytelling. Chapter 4: The vulnerabilities of interconnectedness. The very success of these interconnected systems housed their deepest vulnerabilities. The integration of distant economies meant that a blight on a single, critical crop, a sudden disease affecting the staple grain of a vital node city, could trigger cascading systemic shockwaves. When the Great Mongol Pax Mongolica temporarily unified vast swathes of Eurasia, the sheer ease of travel facilitated an unprecedented flow of both goods and ideas, but also the pathogens. The interconnectedness that allowed for great cultural blossoming also provided the perfect biological highway. The realization that the well-being of the banker in Venice was intrinsically linked to the harvest yield in Mesopotamia forced empires and communities to contemplate a globalized risk profile in a way that was profoundly destabilizing. It was the first true lesson in interdependence, learned at the expense of devastating demographic collapse. Conclusion: the enduring legacy of the exchange. The history of global exchange is therefore not one of simple acquisition, but of complex negotiation. It is the story of humanity's relentless drive to reduce the gap between here and there. The material treasures sought, silk, gold, spice, were ultimately overshadowed by the invisible commodities: the law, the belief, the standardized currency, and the portable narrative. These intangible goods are what truly define the world, weaving the disparate cultures of the planet into a single, magnificent, and perpetually contested matrix of shared human experience. The dusty caravan trail of antiquity remains the blueprint for all global supply chains, reminding us that the greatest commodities forever remain the intangible exchanges of human cooperation and mutual risk.